Hey everybody, this is Doomhammer with another update in the 32-team franchise. Let's get into Week 10. So, the Dallas Cowboys fall short to the New York Giants. Big game for the Giants here. After losing last week, the Dallas Cowboys sort of leapfrogged them to 5-3. And so this was important for the Giants to stay competitive here in the very competitive NFC East. You can see Wilson with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, same as Palmer, both around 200 some yards. Both running backs getting involved. We see 108 yards by Matthews, 103 by Peterson. Very tight, very well-balanced race, but we have the Giants coming away with it, getting the Thursday night victory. And then we've got the Philadelphia Eagles delivering the second loss to the number 1 team in the league, the Tennessee Titans. We can see here that Tavares Jackson, they were just getting blown out. He had 2 interceptions. They put Freeman in the fourth quarter after it was just completely run away with. You see 4 touchdowns for McNabb. Gore and Bernard each get a touchdown apiece. We see Charles Clay, the tight end, getting 2 touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson getting some big plays there. The Titans just were unable to match the former Super Bowl champions. Then you've got the Bears also putting a smackdown on the Colts, and this was a rough one to play. I was definitely maybe distracted when I was doing these games. A lot of interceptions. 5 for Kirk Cousins because I threw 2 interceptions with Brady Quinn and was like, enough. We're going to put the young guy in, Kirk Cousins. And then Cousins throws 5 interceptions. So we had that to deal with. Bears, Campbell, we see they didn't even have to do much. It was actually a lot of pick sixes. I think it was 3 pick sixes. Yeah, 3 pick sixes. So it was just the Bears defense. Let's see who got them. It was Chandler Jones, the right end. Because there was like a screen pass stuff. I was rolling out with either Quinn or Kirk Cousins, and I went to throw the ball, and he was right in front of me, just picked his hands up and intercepted it. Then we had Lito Shepherd, right, the veteran, got a pick 6, and then Sean Smith got a pick 6. So very easy win for Chicago, going up 7-2, which is really good for their chances trying to be number 1 in the NFC. Then you've got the Cardinals, who just absolutely obliterate the Saints. We see 4 interceptions by Leftwich and a very perfect game by Andy Dalton, 3 touchdowns, 177 yards. We see both running backs there getting a touchdown apiece and 100 yards combined. Wallace, again, having a big game, 143 yards. And the Saints just fall short. At some point, we're going to get Geno Smith the starting job, probably near the end of the season. But Leftwich is still the guy so far. But I think the Saints are almost getting to the point where their odds of making the playoffs are slim to none. Until they're mathematically out, I probably won't. Then we had the two game teams, or the teams with 2 wins. Glennon versus Matt Castle. This is his first game as a Chief. 3 interceptions, didn't have a great debut. The Chiefs have kind of moved on from Brandon Weeden. Matt Castle kind of is stepping in there. I chose him because O'Connell is on injured reserve. We have Matt Castle, who played for the Chiefs in real life he's like their starter for about 4 seasons. And so I figured he's a fine one to put in. Whedon's going to have some shopping around. We might trade him or we might just cut him. But it was a very pathetic game. Neither team played well, but the Seahawks were able to get their 3rd win. So good job for Mike Glennon. Then we've got the Buccaneers falling to the Panthers. Buccaneers 0-4 since starting this their bye week. 5-0 to start, 4-0 now, or 0-4 now. And even then, it wasn't even that great of a game by the Panthers, but they were still able to come away with 4 interceptions, which was the major issue for the Bucs. McFadden almost 100 yards. It was Booker and Tate combining for over 100. So solid performance there by the Panthers to get the win. Then the Bengals fall to the Baltimore Ravens. So we see Eli Manning getting his first win as a Baltimore Raven. 331 yards, 2 touchdowns. At this point, they're playing to see if Eli Manning is going to be the starter next season or if they decide to go with a rookie or someone different. So Eli has to prove himself. But this AFC North has been just awful this entire season. Pittsburgh has not done well. Ravens have not done well. So when they play each other, that's when they're getting their wins. We see James Hardy getting 124 yards, but the big loss here was Anderson, who was supposed to be the starter for the rest of the season, gets hurt, and so he's out for 2 weeks. We'll see if he stays out or if I decide to put him back in 3 weeks. But Osweiler came in, got a touchdown, threw an interception. So Osweiler is going to get some starts moving forward. We'll see if he finishes the season as their young quarterback. I kind of gave him he got injured, which is why Anderson came in. Then we kept Anderson. We might just go back to Osweiler. Then we got the Dolphins with a narrow, tight victory against the Buffalo Bills. This was a rainy day, and it's amazing how much rain or snow can affect passes. I was trying to feed the running backs. As you can see, both teams had more rush attempts combined than passes. And so it was basically the not Panthers, I thought of Newton, was the Miami Dolphins. Not a great game for Newton or Tebow, but the Dolphins come away with the victory, so they're close to being the top of the AFC conference. Then you got the Rams versus the Chargers. Chargers finally get their win. I mean, they've been like that 500 team. They've been trying to ascend to be more competitive in the AFC, to try to claim one of those 6th or 7th wild card seeds. Luck threw 2 interceptions. Hightower 2 touchdowns. So difficult game for the Rams. And the Chargers get that W. Now, this was a game that surprised me. So the Packers actually, the Lions took the lead in the 4th quarter with about a minute to go. Packers threw a touchdown on the very first play, so they gave the Lions about 50-some seconds. And then the Lions came down, and Tannehill scored with 7 seconds left. And so the Detroit Lions actually go beyond the Packers. And the Packers have a much better team. I'm now debating whether Mike Tomlin needs to get fired because they have Stafford, McCoy, Edelman, Antonio Brown, Cobb. They have DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller. They have so much talent on this team, and they just can't find a way to win. So that was a big loss for Green Bay when they lose to Detroit, who was like 0-5 or 1-5 at the start of the season. Then the Raiders are able to squeak by. I think the Jaguars did score a tying touchdown, and we went for 2, and we failed. So the Jaguars almost stole a game against the Oakland Raiders, but Oakland was able to hold on. We see a good performance by both QBs at 3 touchdowns, 1 interception by Colt McCoy, 243 yards, a touchdown interception for Ryan. And then 84 yards for Sean Green, 2 touchdowns. DeMarco Murray about 48 yards. So the Jaguars, they are in that playoff hunt, and they didn't start off that way. But we'll see if the Jaguars are able to make up that loss, or if if that loss sort of takes them out of the running. Then this was another tight game. So 4 touchdowns for Big Ben, 1 for Bradford. We can see it was Bradshaw and Leonard with 3 touchdowns combined. A.J. Green, 100 yards receiving. We had more carries for Tomlinson, but what happened was this game went into overtime. And the Steelers were actually what happened was the Broncos took the lead, and then as Pittsburgh, I just chucked the ball down, got into field goal range, and it was a 55-yarder, something like that. And so despite that, we were able to take a kick with Justin Tucker. No, it was 57 yards. There was a 57-yard kick with Justin Tucker, and he nailed it for the tying field goal. Then the Steelers got the ball for overtime, drove down the field, and I thought Tomlinson would be reliable, but then he fumbled. And when he fumbled the ball, the Broncos drove down the field, kicked the field goal, and won in overtime. So a very tight game. However, the Steelers are still have a good chance of making the playoffs because they're going to likely win the AFC North unless Baltimore turns things around. But when the division plays themselves, Pittsburgh tends to come out on top. But when the division plays anyone else, they lose. Then you got the Falcons versus the 49ers, Manning versus Breeze. And as you can see, Breeze struggled a bit with 2 interceptions, whereas Manning had 376 yards. Fitzgerald, Julius Thomas really getting the bulk of those receptions. Rushing game, we were basically going away from it as the Falcons. We were just letting Manning do what he needs to do because Le'Veon Bell is still injured. I think he's how many more weeks? Okay, he's back this week. So now we're going to be able to have more of a balanced rush pass attack because Blunt and Jamal Lord were not the main running backs in this game. I was doing more screen passes, short passes, so Manning's 376 yards is what's been helping them win when they don't have Le'Veon Bell. MJD did nothing. I mean, there was pretty much a passing game for both teams, and it was just the Falcons who totally dominated. And then this game shocked me too, but the Vikings come away with the victory over the Patriots. It was just... I don't know. I don't know with the Patriots. I don't know why they're not coming away with winning these games. They're just having a bad year. Yes, they are still in the playoff hunt, but they just keep falling short. We see kind of a similar passing RG3 with 278 yards. Brady more efficient with the completion rate, but Charles 112 yards, Martin 93 and 2 touchdowns. Even Charles had 2 touchdowns. It was just the field goal separating them, and it was the Vikings that were able to put in the field goal before the end of the half, which basically gave them that edge for the rest of the game. As we look at standings, we see again that Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans are moving up there. So Dolphins right now take the number 1 seed currently. The Titans right behind them. You see the Raiders now 2 games ahead of the AFC West, so that's really good for them in winning that division. Pittsburgh is still vulnerable in this division, but, I think Pittsburgh's going to pull it out over the Ravens, but you never know. When you are below 500, when you have what's their win percentage? Where is it? That's for conference. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, okay. When you're 40 or 33% win, and you make the playoffs, anything can happen. And then you've got basically the, for wild card, Texans, Chargers, Broncos, Bills are all kind of in that leading spot for it. You still got the Patriots and the Jaguars, Colts and Steelers. Colts also a potential opportunity there to try to move into the playoff spot. But really it's going to be, Dolphins. Jets are a certain lock as long as they don't find a way to screw up this remaining part of the season. And then you look at the NFC. Eagles right now in solid control, but you got the Giants and the Cowboys likely vying for those next 2 out of the 3 wild card seeds. You do have Chicago with a 2-game lead over their division, so that's good for them. It's between, let's see, is it Atlanta or is it Chicago that's number 1? The Bears are number 1 with the Falcons right behind them. We got the Buccaneers who are fighting for a spot, the Vikings and the Cardinals with like the Panthers, Lions. I know Lions are now in the running, and the Rams kind of the outside in. But there's probably going to be 3 out of these 5-win teams here that will have an actual shot. Then we look at the worst teams. It's still kind of all the same: Bengals, Chiefs, Browns, Saints. Nothing's really changed at the bottom of the league except for the Saints, who started off a bit hotter, are now on a 5-game losing streak. So again, they were 3-2 at one point. Now they're 3-7. So they're having a bad turn this season. When we look at some of the other stats here, we got McNabb, Ryan, Palmer, Stafford, Roethlisberger leading the league in yards. Throwing touchdowns, we see McNabb, Roethlisberger, Ryan, Stafford, Brady. Interception is Gabbert now. Leftwich, Big Ben, Tebow, and Brady Quinn. Colts will consider whether they start Cousins or Quinn next week, but Cousins did throw 5 interceptions, so he might need another week to kind of work on his play. We got Johnson, Matthews, McFadden, Adrian Peterson, and Reggie Bush, top 5 rushers. When we look at touchdowns, it is Forte all the way, 16, with Bush and Peterson tied for second. Rushing or receiving yards, we see it's Julio Jones. He had some big games for Matt Ryan. If I go to his stats per week, you look at it was 103, 275, 128, 230. So he started out like a 51, 69, 118, 93, decent games, but then he started having 200-yard games, and that just propelled him to first place. And you got Mike Wallace, you got Percy Harvin, Jackson Aromashodu. Brad Smith, as expected, is starting to decline because we have the return of Jennings and Slater getting more carries. Going to tackles, it's going to go over these a little bit quicker. You can pause if you want to take a deeper look. Sacks, J.J. Watt still the leader. Ladarius Webb, interceptions. Rankings, we see Oakland is now the number 1 offense with the Giants, Eagles, Titans, Dolphins, with the Seahawks, Texans, Bengals, Bears, and Cardinals sucking. Defense, Atlanta is becoming the powerhouse defense. It was previously the Panthers, but since they've lost some of their key players, Panthers are now the 3rd worst in the league. We see Eagles, Packers, Panthers, Chiefs, and Giants at the worst. So thanks for watching the video. We'll have more updates coming up. It's fun that we are now in week 11, which is a good time to, kind of as we get to that last stretch of the season. The playoff picture is starting to form. Anything can still happen, but we're now getting to the point where we're going to try to get through some of these games and some of these seasons or these weeks faster if I'm able to do more accelerate clock. But hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you like this Madden content. We do other games as well. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.